Eddie Santos here, and I'm with two of the most knowledgeable music, rhythm, frequency brothers that I've talked to in a long time. They run a podcast. I'll let them introduce that. But I just want to say salute to you brothers for making this on short notice. I think that time management is a skill that most people do not value. And you brothers showed up and I was like, damn, okay, this is something I could rock with.
Yes, sir.
So I want to invite my boy Errik, my boy Jonny. Tell me about yourself, brother.
Niggas always get my government, but I don't hide. My government is Errik and Jiggy. I'm on everything. Google me. You'll find some interesting facts.
That part.
But I do a lot. I go by the moniker Giddy Jiggy with it. And,
okay, I didn't even know that. My bad.
Yep. So I
know it, but I didn't know that's what you go by.
I don't. It's my DJ name, artist name. It's my artist name, and I DJ as well. So and that's even how that came about is kind of funny. As everybody is, most of our nicknames come from somebody messing with us.
Yup.
Yeah. Can we cuss?
Yeah, you can.
Make sure. So in middle school, Nigerian, all that kind of stuff. Students. So they, that was back when Friday. Was it Friday? Next Friday. And all that. No, Will Smith, cause I'm older than that. So Will Smith shit getting jiggy with it, right?
Yeah, okay.
And that was going on, so people like, you get jiggy with it. And you're like just
so you
doing
played
all
into
that.
it.
Yeah. And then just when next Friday came out, he was like, I can't get jiggy with this shit. So it's like all of that kind of stuff just culminated. I'm like, you know what? People back home know me by my last name only. So nobody calls me Errik. Like if you
really?
like go to Errik, they were like, I don't know who you talking about. Even in college, like nobody knows.
You know what's funny? The only people that know you when I say Errik is people like, they're not corporate, but they're like in business. They were like, oh yeah, I know Errik. So
no, them like the big dude, the DJ with the dreads. Like, oh yeah. So I'm gonna be one or two people.
That's true.
That description here. So that's how I know the kids. I either taught them, with the music program or whatever. But I'm gonna be real, man. I just got into music. I gotta give that credit to my pops. And I'm from Texas, so being in Texas, being in the culture of mixtapes down there, and going to the barbershop, and they got all the tapes in there, and the bootleg clothes in the back. You know what I'm saying? We was wearing big face polo and all that.
Right.
I gotta get that to my dad. He used to go get the tapes and CDs, and I would just take them. So we would have all these mixes, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't have to dub them myself from the radio. But he put me onto a lot of music and opened me up to other stuff. So I was in Texas, but he's Nigerian, so I would play like his Nigerian high life music and all that kind of stuff. But then I just started listening to stuff on my own. So like some of my favorite artists even coming up. I used to love Bone Thugs and Harmony, DMX. And then Nelly came.
Right.
So I was just kind of all over the place. Meanwhile, you got Swisher House and them going crazy down there where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? And going in high school, just the Dallas dance music scene and the Louisiana bounce music. I remember, being like the Wood. Like in middle school, going to the school dance, you know what I'm saying? Walk around in that blue, I had on my blue sweatsuit, just swish it with my black and baby blue and1s. I swear to God, boy, I didn't know what I was doing. Walk around trying not to let your little mans jump out at the party trying to catch some twerk, nigga. That was a struggle in middle school.
Boy,
that was a struggle.
That's one of the reasons why I didn't dance a lot. I was like, nah, I already know.
Listen, we had to jump in the waters. Like, the one you looking for, when it's your Alicia that come to you, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't help it. You gotta dance. You gotta shoot that shot. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it was cool, man. But yeah, I got into DJing up here. I've been around music. I always introduce music. I kind of would always put on different stuff, different songs at parties or kickbacks.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I was like, "What was that?" You was like, "Oh, I got a list for you, bro." And you started putting some lists out. I remember. I don't know where it was. I was like, "Yo, who is that?" Oh, it was at the Culture House.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, I I'm always gonna be that guy. I take an old school approach to music, like the old school DJ. Like you, to get known, you have to have your own flair, your own style.
Yeah.
You have to go get your own records. So you did not want the next record that the next person had.
Right.
The goal was to find something funky that they ain't got.
Mm-hmm.
So I take that approach, which is the complete opposite now. Everybody just wants to play whatever's hot.
Right.
So it's a complete switch now. But then there's always gonna be that lane. So that's the lane I play into. I lean in that 100%. Like I don't be caring. Like I'm not gonna give you something that everybody else is doing. I'm like, just go to them for that.
Right.
But I tell people all the time, I can do what they can do, but they can't do what I do.
That shit hit too.
So yeah, that's a little bit. We'll get to the rest.
Yeah. You hit a lot of it. That's good.
Oh man.
Mr. No Good.
Yes, sir, man. Johnny No Good. What was the question?
Just kind of like, where you from? Where do you represent?
But yeah, Johnny No Good. Where I'm from. That's an interesting question. Born in the birthplace of Malcolm X. Yeah, Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, 68111. I got into music at a young age. I was 7 years old the first time I wrote my first song. Been around music. My family made music, and so it kind of held a very important part into my life, man.
It's tough, cause like the way, and I know how you like what music means to you, cause like I heard some of your music. The first time I heard you don't even know this. It was at Verbal Gumbo, off of what's that, Pacific, 10th of Pacific. You spit song. I was like, cause they got this little area that's up top, and I'm sitting up there with some of the homegirls, and I'm like rapping with them. But you was saying something, cause you know, the people in there, it's cool. It's a cool vibe. Some of the neo soul flavor. Some other people get up there and say a poem or something. But what you was talking, I was like, all right, hold up. And I was gonna get. I was gonna try to get up with you at the time, and I was just like, yo, it really made me recalibrate, cause I was like, oh, he ain't here doing this, and you was like, was it Felicia? Yeah, she got up, was like, y'all need to check him out. He here locally or something. And I was like, oh, like this is like, because at the time I had came back from the military, and I was just, I was in Nashville, right? So that's like, obviously it's like country music, but there's like a hip hop scene down there. I think it was off Graham Street or something. I was at a club, it was next to BB King's, and I was just like, yo, I wish Omaha had something like this, right? And I left there. I was we like a couple hours from Atlanta. I always shoot down to Atlanta when I was in the military at Fort Campbell and stuff. And I would go to Memphis. Ross, I was down. I'm like, all right, Omaha, we ain't got nothing like this. What we had was different pieces of these regions. Like when I was growing up, we had Chameleonaire, Swisher House, DSR, like, and so all that type of rap, like Fat Bastard, Get in My Belly, like that's one of my like favorite albums. You know what I mean? Like, so when you talking that, I'm just like, I know, like it's powerful to me to hear it, because I'm like, dang, I remember, because it's so influential for me. Like when I was like at a young age, I wrote my first rap, and it was to it was like the WX to the Z, or it was a West Side Connection like little thing, and I wrote my rhyme. I just copied it and I just put my own words in it.
Man, I wrote, the first one I wrote was based off of that song. Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So first rhyme I ever wrote, it was like Monday to Sunday, one day I'm gonna have to die, but don't cry. Keep your head up and keep my memory alive. I remember I was 7 years old, and I found out we had to die, and that was like traumatic. Like, my mom had my grandpa come talk to me and all of that. Like, that's, like that's one of the things you protect your children from.
Right.
Those concepts. And I remember like literally like breaking down in tears, like, shit, we have to die. Like, there's no choice in this shit. Like, it's guaranteed. Like, it's like, damn, that was pretty heavy. And so it was like, at that moment, I realized like, there's no need to cry about this shit. When I go, I want to make my life meaningful.
Right.
So just keep your head up and keep my memory alive. So even since I was 7 years old, I've been instilled with a purpose that once it's my time to go, when I go, it's gonna be impactful. So I try to live my life like that.
That's tough. And it was like, most people don't even, I say that they forget that they're going to die. because they just, my biggest thing, and we actually talked about it a little bit with the brother down at the coffee shop. Like, we lived the same life 10 years in a row until we realized, damn, like I gotta change. But for me, and then the people that I ask, like, so I'm like you guys. If you, I realize I learn the most from someone who's been through it, and so wisdom to me is so valuable. And like when I ask brothers who are like married or have kids, I'm like, yo, so if you was 30, whatever, however old I was, if you're 33 at the time, or when you was 33, what kind of advice would you give to yourself? Like, that's my thing. I asked like the OGs and anybody older, and I listened to them, and it was like, you know, what I would do is make sure I'm not living the same life over and over every year. And I was just like, and I heard it before. It's just like, it didn't click with me until I realized I was ready for that information. I was like, I get it. And so like sometimes like these little nuggets, and then like some stuff that we talk about. I know your wife called about like just a creative project she was asking or talking about. And we just, it was me and you. And she was in the background, and we started chopping it up about certain things. And I'm just like, dang, this is good. Like, I remember I need to get back onto this. It'd be conversations that'd be like these little nuggets of like, yo, you were supposed to do this. And so I appreciate like wisdom and just hearing like how you say your pops and how you grew, and then like we value wisdom. So that's just powerful.
You know, before we even cut the cameras on, we were just talking like,
right.
The thing with successful people is their best skill is that they know how to listen, because they always trying to up their game, and people will give it to you for free, especially when they know you'll do something with it and they know they ain't got nothing to do with it. That part. So they'll let it go. They just, a lot of successful people want to see other people succeed, you know. Right. That's why those multi-level marketing schemes work for them, right, to a degree, you know what I'm saying? But they want to see it. They ain't gonna necessarily tell you how to do it. They're gonna give you a piece here, and they want to know you have the understanding on how to put it together. Like, they can't put the puzzle together for you, right? Because then it's no longer a puzzle; it's just a picture. So you got to put your own puzzle together. But then that's just kind of the times we're in, where too many people think they know everything, so they won't receive any new information. And I don't know. There is never enough. There's never a final level, right? Because it doesn't have to mean making more money. It could just be expanding your ideas and your bandwidth as an individual. What are you now receptive to? What are you willing to learn and understand? Who are you willing to connect with? So it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to gain you more money, but it may gain you different opportunities, right, and different things, different outcomes in life that just go far beyond just that dollar. So I was just on Facebook a little bit ago. I seen somebody was complaining about, I can't eat no pork. It's like no pork, no sugars, and no something else simple. And I'm like, what am I supposed to eat? I'm like, word of it. I literally put in the comments, word of advice: expand your palate. And then I was like, first thing you can do. I said, because we was at like free plug. We was at Qdoba earlier. All the stuff you can go eat there, right, according to your little list that you made. But I said go beyond that. It's like start to try other countries' food, because if you can eat the food, you can go to the place. Well, most people can't travel because they won't have nothing to eat. Right. So if you expand your palate with your tongue and your ear first, then you'll be more receptive and open. You'll want to go explore. But that's we got to travel with those first. But I'm like, if you can't do that, you're gonna be very stuck in what you think is right, what you think is solid, how the way of the world is supposed to be, because you won't see anything else. Right. But you gotta expand your palate, and that's your taste and everything. So
no, it's funny because we see memes and we see like these quotes because we have now access to the information. I think that is so valuable that I could see, like, by you saying something, it sparked, like, you just triggered another memory. But it said, growing old is mandatory, growing up is optional. So, like, hearing you say that, I'm just like, dang, like, it's another one of those nuggets. It's like, all right, because me and my wife, we went vegan whenever that What the Health came out. And obviously, What the Hell, there's a whole bunch of stuff around it. But in reality, if you watch what you eat, you have a better system internally. So I didn't like, go vegan or be pescatarian, and I didn't like the label that it put me in, because people were like, oh, you vegan? All right, how long until you tell us what to start eating? Because people have like a preconceived notion of what vegans do or whoever. I just watch what I eat, and obviously you use discernment and proportion and how much you want to eat. But it's just funny how you talking about expanding your palate, because that's one of the few things that we have the choice on. But when you get older, the doctor gonna tell you gotta change your diet, because we been eating shitty this whole time. So
I mean, you can't go nowhere. Hey, take that vegan shit down to Brazil if you want to. You're gonna be starving. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gonna cook some meat now, but they know how to. It's not detrimental. The meats, the animals there before they become meat are eating what they're supposed to eat. I remember going to Canada. We went to Montreal a couple years ago for a mural festival, and we ordered a pizza. And we trying to speak French. We don't know no French. So we ordered a pizza. It got like ham and stuff on it. And Joe doesn't really eat any of that. And she ate some. She was like, this don't taste nothing like pork in the United States. I was like, well, you got to remember, this country has a lot more regulations on what's allowed, what chemicals, all that kind of stuff. So everything tastes different, even if you think it's. So like, I'm not saying you're supposed to go eat pork. I'm just saying. Right. America does not do the best job of regulating, and we ain't going in that conversation why they don't do a job of regulating. But it being mindful, like mindfulness and overall is great. Mindful of what you digest. That means your eyes, ears, and mouth. So, and the energies that you digest. So, we I don't want to get into the times, because we'll take anything.
No, that's good. Get into it, because consumption is at an all-time high. And we not mindful of, to me, the biggest thing is what we watching. Like, there's certain type of social engineering that's happening. And we was just talking about this. Like, somebody gonna plan the next 5, 10, 20 years for you if you don't plan it for yourself, if you're not disciplined in whatever you're trying to grow in. But I love conversations like this, because this whole show is specifically about it. So it's Altr Digital. It's Altr, which is different perspective, ALTER. Altr, ALTAR, is God's table. What is my perspective, and how am I bringing it to God's table to help change the world? And all it is small to me is conversations. But after the conversations, I want a call to action, because I was having too many conversations with white people who was hearing about my indigenous struggles, and then I came back here and I heard that the United Nations was doing studies in North Omaha, because it's close to like third world countries. I'm like, what? And so when I start really paying attention to it, they're like, oh my God, yeah. I'm just like, yeah, so I know what I'm about to do. Like, what are you about to do? And it was like, oh, I just love to hear the information, so I just know what's going on. You know what I mean? So like, they just like, they partnered in someone who understands what's happening, and like, you know what, my friend, he went and did this, or they went and did this. And so for white people, unfortunately, it's like a badge of honor to know someone who's like fighting for a cause. And I ain't like that shit. And so when you like the stuff that you share, that's why I said, talk about the consumption shit. Talk about, like, I like to hear that, because I like to bring numbers up on the thing. It'll pop up. I like to bring up something, like if you have any statistics, I'll bring something up that'll back it. Because most of the time we talk, back in the day, people could talk and they could be lying. But now we got access to data, boy. If you lying, we calling you out ASAP. So it's not. I think to expand beyond what it is that we're watching, it's just the mechanisms in which we choose to learn. I feel like you can tell somebody who only learns through the visual media. You can tell somebody who learns through reading. You can tell somebody who learns through experiencing other people, and a combination. And I think right now, too many of us are relying on the media, not understanding that every form of media is another individual's perspective that they're trying to give to you. That's so good. There's no real way for you to formulate your own perspective if that's the only way of learning. You only get their perspective of it, their viewpoint of it. Even if it's correct, but it's still from their lens. It's like that with books. And the more I start thinking about, like, when you're writing a book,
that's coming from you, from your lens. Even when you're trying to be outside of yourself, it's about the things that are right outside of you. So it's coming from a place. And you have to take it, when you read it, you should take it as such. So it may be, I won't say fact, it may be have truth to it for you, but that does not make it absolute fact all the time. Some of the only things that are absolute fact are more than likely things you can count. You can see and you can count. You know what I'm saying? We could do a count on how many college students there are.
Right.
We can count, if you put your race down now, we can count that. So those are the, like, numbers are kind of some of the only things that are real fact. But outside of that, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're getting funky with language. You know, English is a bastard language in general.
Right.
And we are bastardizing it to the benefit of whoever wants to do it.
Yep. So
we'll switch words around. We'll do different things, use different tactics to not mean something or say something. So we just kind of get into that. We're in that place, and it's a very it's not difficult, but to be a individual is you stand out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody can see an individual.
Right.
And then the first people that get on the top, they try to put you on the chopping block. Everybody can, or they're going to be the first people that you get pirated. They're going to take everything from you, your essence, your insight. They're going to take it from you. This is why certain things, you know, everything, hip hop is an example of an original thing. It's like, it's not original, but it's an original in how they expressed it. Yeah. And now it's getting ciphered out. Everybody's pulling from it.
Right.
So that's what happens with originality. So you gotta understand that and understand that battle. So I don't know, man.
No, it's good.
I mean, like,
I like to let people, obviously we call them rants, but I think when you have, I see ideas like living things, right? I think people can have the same idea. If you don't manifest it, then it'll go to somebody else. That's just like me and like how my culture, actually not my culture, just me and how I see things. Because I seen the many different times. It was, I mean, granted it's online, but people have the same idea and they'll come up with the same invention and they'll go to the patent office at the same time. And they're like, oh, like, hold on, this person, you did it 2 days beforehand. It's like, I don't even know him. They in a different state, different country. But I think that when you have ideas or you have like a message to get off, I like to let that flow, because when you interrupt it, like, this is just me, like, I think God speaks through us in different mediums. And voice is obviously the easiest one for us to understand. I think body language is the easiest language to understand for us. But obviously you break down, you talking about the bastarding of the language. It's just this is different levels you can like tap in to understand, like, oh, we follow this text, this religious text, but it got converted multiple times, and so whoever interpreted, it's just a whole bunch of layers of information. But when someone has an original thought, even if you're saying something that you had before and you just regurgitating it, I still think in this moment, whoever listens to this, they're gonna be like, oh, just like I said earlier, someone shared a nugget with me, and it's like, that should stick with me. So, I want you to obviously kind of chime in on some of that, like, I guess the originality, because it's different to different people, like, or what originality is. So what is originality to you?
Honestly, there's nothing new under the sun. So, you know, I was taught by a wise man who told me that new knowledge, N-E-W, is new knowledge. N-E-W is K-N-E-W. So there's nothing new under the sun. And so kind of sort of like yourself, all ideas stem from an original creation point. For me, that's the ultimate creator. And so those who move, and those who don't. But I also like to lean in on like the modes and mindsets of people like Nikola Tesla. Because he said, I don't care that you stole my ideas, I care that you don't have none of your own. So I'm a person who's trying to teach you how to think, not what to think. It's about the processes of thinking, stuff like that. So there's originality, or whatever we call original, is just people taking what's been before them and making it their own. And I think that that's what we're supposed to do with knowledge. Is something that's living, you're supposed to make it work for you.
That's good. Damn, because me and my wife, that's why I was really attracted to my wife, was her mind. Mm-hmm. So we had that conversation about and actually it was me. I brought up the Western thought was to take something that you can't own and put ownership on it. So indigenous, they came over, took land, and they came over. We were like, this white dude say he about to own the land. Like we're caretakers of the land. We don't own the land. And then another one was IP, intellectual property. Oh, I own this thought or this idea. And so like we were just talking about that and how unfortunately we figure out that all business ain't good business when someone takes our idea and they do it on their own. And it's good for the majority, but the majority ain't us. And so if someone got an idea from us and they go run an event and it's off of the strength of what we was ideating about, like, oh my God, this is so new.
But I think it's just one of those things that you gotta understand, right? Like, we made in the image of the Creator. And so there's only 3 ways that a person can create. And 2 of those ways involve outside things. And there's only 1 way you can create in which there is no outside materials needed to create. What do I mean? One of those ways is procreation. So you create, through sexual energy in that level. Another thing is to create with outside materials. And something created with outside materials can never escape the materials or essence in which it was created in. So you can't turn plastic into wood. You can't get metal from plastic. You get what I'm saying? So it's made like that. And the last way in which people create, and I usually try to let people figure it out on their own, is you create mentally. And that's the only way that you create in which you don't use no outside materials. So for me, I think that that's the way that we're made in the image of the Creator. Is in understanding our ability to think. And it's just one of those things that it's not for everybody. Like, there's levels to it. And when you really start understanding how we create, the energy we create in, you be a lot more conscientious about your process of creation. So there's only so many different ways a person can create, but it's just about making it work for you.
Right. But isn't it tough though when you create something and somebody steal that shit from you?
Listen, this is what I'm saying is that something plastic cannot be something metal. And so the energy in which it's created in cannot escape its creator. So the person who's trying to steal an idea that I create or that he creates or attempts to make it successful, it won't be made in the same energy. It cannot be beyond its creator. Like, imagine a Mona Lisa, right? I forgot who created Mona Lisa. Wasn't that Picasso? No, that wasn't Picasso.
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci. So imagine Mona Lisa saying that they're Da Vinci. Da Vinci is in Mona Lisa, but Mona Lisa itself is not Da Vinci. And that's us in our relationship with the ultimate creator. And that's other people who are out here attempting to steal ideas. It cannot rise higher than the source.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, because of the level of mental creation and energy that we put into doing certain things, the people who attempt to steal the ideas can't even grasp the magnitudes of what it is that they're trying to steal in the first place. It's beyond their creation point.
Listen, Johnny just gave me a whooping this morning. First thing this morning, first text. Hey, bro, stop telling all your ideas to everybody. I said, you right, okay.
Because we talk about
you ain't never lied.
We talk about it all the time.
Like, I need to go to a actual conference where people are hiring mega companies and start talking, and I guarantee you I'll get a job. I won't get a job, they'll just contract with me. I ain't gonna work for them, they just contract with me because I'm an ideal machine, bro.
Right.
When I crank, I'm cranking. And anybody around me knows I'm cranking. Like, even every name of any company, any entity in my company that I create is something creative from my Rooted Rhythm Syndicate. Even looking for a name that's not company, I said I need another synonym. I like syndicate makes more sense for me because I'm not trying to own you. I'm trying to work with you for this time period and help you go and do what you got to do. But being Rooted Rhythm, being grounded, But
right.
but in the culture, in the beat comes from the culture. Like everything is from a creative space. Nobody's gonna be able to understand that but me.
Right.
Understand how my DJ name came around. Understand how the name of our podcast came around. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even where that stemmed from.
Right.
So I can never even leave its essence completely. I can never leave the essence in which I started the podcast from being streets A&R and all of that kind of stuff. And so everything is tied in. It's not just loose stuff. Like, I'm constantly coming up with stuff.
Right.
But I also have learned to move on it when I create on it, because somebody else gonna try it. Then they gonna think I'm biting, and I gotta,
right.
pull timestamps and all kind of stuff.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? This is right here.
So
Luckily,
Google, I'll tell you one. No, my bad.
You good.
Google Doc, right? You can go back and you can check when your first entry was. I found that out when, I don't know what case. I have no idea what case it was, but someone was like, I created this, and they got their timestamp on the Google Doc, and it was like something they were going to use in court. It ended up getting thrown out because the person's like, yeah. I kind of was taking an idea or whatever from someone I heard through a conversation. But what you're talking about is, so this is what I'm talking about, the Western ideology of owning IP and owning land. Obviously, it is what it is now. One of the things that made it come up was, you know what the RFP is? You know what RFP is, right? When you submit an RFP for, yeah. So I run a creative agency, right? Came up with some, they was like, oh, you said I'm submit an RFP. Submitted it. Fire. I did all the research. It's actually called discovery. So when you do like a lot of this data for a company to help them reach their community or their audience, whatever, and how they can like be better in it, it's called discovery. And normally agency gets like 75, 10K for it, or 7.5, 10K. And I was like, I know they gonna pick me, because I'm hitting this at a different angle, because our experiences are different. And I know that this, anyways, submitted it. Someone else, the thing is, they may have done it and they already knew who they was gonna use. They already knew who they was gonna use. Somebody they know who runs a marketing company, but they use all the data that these other marketing agencies gave them. It was like, yo, they got a good idea. And so that happened to me. And then I was talking to my wife about someone else that it happened to in LA. And she fired, like killed it. And they took her shit and ran with it. And she's like, this is mine. Like, this is the exact font I use and all that stuff. And so the reason why I was saying, like, don't it get to you when it happened? But for you, obviously, what I'm picking up on is we understand how it happened. It's just now it's the protection.
That part. So one thing that I tell you all the time that I'm real big on, bro, I don't talk a lot. Like it's a misconception, right? Like there's literally a community of people out there who think I talk a lot. And that's the people who don't want to learn and that don't want to listen, because I only speak to the ears that's receptive. That's how I was taught. I don't go around speaking on everything I know. And so
that's good.
With these people, they just gonna have to watch, bro.
Right.
It is when you understand people, when you understand how it work, like when you understand business, when you're not out to get over on nobody, you shouldn't have no problems with with an NDA. You shouldn't have a problem with that. So like there's just certain precautions that people gotta take. If I give you an idea, if I'm speaking openly about an idea, it's because I don't have the IP trademark, I don't have it copyrighted, I don't have the legal protections and systems in play to be able to monopolize on that. Anything I'm speaking on freely is something that somebody can move on.
Right.
And I think that, especially because there's a lot of people who we're not inherently evil like they make it seem. Like there's a lot of good people out here. And especially in the places that we move, social justice arenas, there's a lot of altruistic people. And so there's people who take advantage of altruistic people who doing it for the greater good. Like if you didn't understand certain methods of collection of data, like how you was talking about for your discovery and all of that, and you're not understanding how important data is, these nonprofits ain't giving up their data.
Facts.
Like my brother E said, ask a nonprofit for their email list.
Right.
Get what I'm saying? So it's like data is the king. And so like if you're not finding ways of protecting your data, protecting your information, and moving in these circles and knowing what you're doing, you're bound to get used and manipulated.
Right.
It's just a part of the system of what they got going on, and it's a numbers game. So I'm one of those people. I love to know the environments I'm going in. I study business law. It's one of those things that we just don't understand how contracts work. We don't understand how business work. And I'm very conscientious of people who have adverse feelings towards business.
Right. No, you hitting something. That last piece, you literally like, unfortunately our community don't know. And so when we don't know, it's the enemy. I just had a post. It was like, everybody ain't your enemy. We see it as a barrier, but I feel like the barrier is learning. I feel like school wasn't supposed to be there to teach us, whatever, like pre-cal or whatever. It's supposed to teach us how to learn, and a lot of it doesn't do that. It makes you. I was a terrible student, but I would test out of courses. I was in high school. 11th grade, I was going into 11th grade, I had 6 credits. I graduated on time because they gave me the opportunity to take night school, Novanet, Saturday school, summer school. They was like, you know what, we got these little modules, and it was like the first time they brought it around. It was like, if you can test out in a week, then we'll give you the credit. I tested out of like 12 of them the first day. They was like, you ain't even applying yourself, what's going on? I was like, I don't like school, like it just, I don't know what it was. It was just something that I didn't like, but I like learning. Like I would go, at the time I would go, you might know about this, the text key battles. They're like, you typing up a battle, someone like, you got a name online.
You talking about on the Yahoo chat?
Yeah.
You talking about see, when you said the text key battle, I know what you.
That's what they was called back then.
It was only like hey, we had a microphone and a webcam, so we was one of them rare ones where you get on the Yahoo.
Yeah.
This is for the real people really battling. You used to have to get on the Yahoo chat rooms, the Yahoo chat rooms, and type out songs or do a little bootleg recording real quick.
No, I'm saying like. That's what I was liking that because music, like I said, I was listening to Nas early when we talked about that, and I started expressing myself through lyrics, and so it was just the like I said, the idea and understanding how to learn. And so when you said that you have an adverse feeling about people who don't like business, and I think that's for me, it's an evolving. Like I evolved into like, oh, okay. In order for us to really separate or move out of the space we in, we got to understand the system that we in.
That part. And I think it's like that adverse feeling people have, it come from one of 3 things. It's like it come from fear, you know, because a lot of us, we just have a lot of fear around business. We've been done wrong. It comes from a scarcity mindset with money, or it comes from you trying to manipulate and get over on people. So it's like, if there's no issues, nothing going on, transparency ain't a problem.
Right.
You know, I filed for some grants on behalf of an event that I did. I don't got no problem sending them to my bro to sign something because everything is transparent. I'm not trying to get over on nobody. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's a part of where some of the issues come in at. But business is one of those things you got to be very cognizant of because it's more gangster than the street is. Facts. So like, you know, the real gangsters wear business suits and business ties and they go sit at cigar bars.
And it's crazy because when you're talking about the ability to share or not be able to share ideas, like this man could tell me something, even if I'm gonna be a part of it, I'm even breaking down like, okay, this is his event. And there's certain fundamental rules with me. If it's yours, it's yours. So that's going to automatically tell me how money split. That's going to automatically, unless you say otherwise. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So I want to, it's not my credit. My fund ain't big. I'm playing now because it's not mine, I'll just have a position. So let me play my position. Let me play my role in this to make sure this thing goes up. Because if I'm assisting in this thing going up, I'm going up with it. I don't have to be the lead.
Right.
I don't have to own it. But if it can only help me, it can help or hurt me. So I might as well make it help me.
Right.
And me helping myself is helping him or helping it or helping them or whatever my name is attached to.
Right.
Because we have a real big problem with nobody. I don't know if anybody care about their reputation no more.
Right.
Like I'm really gonna. This is like family name and reputation. Like it used to mean something when somebody say, "Oh yeah, I know them. They good people."
Yep.
I don't. We're so much out of our collective We just in the individual mode, and it's like it has to mean something. We just trying to get over to get our own instead of understanding that we are part of a bigger collective. Whether that's your company, whether it's your team, whether that's your neighborhood, your community, your race or whatever. Like we just all we kind of out of whack right now. So, anything I'm gonna attach myself to, I can only think about what am I actually bringing to it. And if I can't bring nothing to it, I'm out. I pass up a check, bro. I promise you I'll pass up.
We was talking about that because he was like, man, bro, I think you should. I was like, you know what? Like, I know where I'm at because I could go and do other things, but if I'm not as focused, I'm just going to be in the way. Like, I can help, but like, I really want to be effective with where I'm at. And to what you was talking about people's, the name, now it's crazy because I just had, when you was talking about the homie and his little mans, I had later on that day I was talking to the homie and he had like somebody he was working with. He was like, oh yeah, it's so and so people. I was like, okay. I was like, I know your peoples, but it wasn't a good I know your peoples. It's like I know your peoples, like y'all wildin', and I mean, and Omaha so little, you can know someone's last name. You're like, oh okay. Yep. And so like, that part of it, I think, is was it exacerbated from the American dream because like it's like you can have it your way. Capitalism breeds individuality for the most part.
That part.
You know what I mean? And so then it's like it's about me. Like everyone from the bottom to the top, it's all that. It's cool and all, but like there's not a like a foundation and like, yo, your community is what made you. It's not you. And like, or your audience is what made you. Like, so.
But even if it is you, why don't you care about how you're represented?
Right.
You never know what rooms somebody's gonna mention your name in. And when they mention your name, they don't know the reactions your name is gonna get until they say it. So what reaction do you want from them? Because it's either gonna build you or destroy you.
Right.
It's gonna either help you go up or keep you exactly where you at. And people don't care. This is why I stepped away from projects. I'm like, I'm not doing no more of these type of projects because my heart ain't in it. I don't want my name to get sullied because I ain't put my all into it.
Right.
Or I got lackadaisical with it. And let me focus on the stuff that I kind of really want to do right now. So then if I do go over there, I know I'm in a place where I'm already set over here. I can actually help it move. I'm not going to do nothing else. But you have to get to a point of caring about your name. You have to get to a point of caring about when they say, like, you ain't going to hear, like, he said this. That's just what. And then if you do say he said this, you know that E is going to come to your face, to your event, and ask you, what did I say? So now either you're going to be like, I ain't going to say he said nothing. One, either he didn't say nothing. Or two, I know he going to come to me with it.
Right.
I'm not going to let you run from it. Because I ain't walking in no fear. It's whatever.
Right.
I don't care whenever. It's whatever. It be on site. And I ain't talking about fighting and stuff. It's about, I'm going to confront you and holler to them like, let's just get the space clear.
Yeah, you're hitting on something that people are afraid of, though. It's confrontation. Like, we as a society do not know how to handle conflict well. It's very, like, you know where we come from, like, it's like, all right, get them hands, like, what you talking about? And then it's we right into it. Or if you got OGs around you, they like, what's going on? Like, and they can talk through.
They gonna gather the go get them. Y'all come meet right now and squash this. So I don't care which way it go, but have a clear understanding of where it's going.
Or y'all two squab it out. Like if you got a problem, man to man. And the thing is, they don't do that nowadays. I was just talking to my nephew. I play the game with him. I play Fortnite with him, and he talking about him boxing. I was like, I got some gloves. I was like, I can pull up. He was like, nah. And then I was like, but it was him and his boy that was like having issues. And he was like, nah, you know. But he was saying, don't nobody box nowadays. Like basically saying, man, that's that old head shit. Nobody box nowadays. I was like, I know. It's because y'all don't know how. Like y'all didn't grow up with like the fair one. Like I need 5 minutes. Like there's no. It's like it's not a part of their culture. And so to me, when he was talking about, I was like, oh, like y'all don't even know how to handle simple conflict. Like, yeah, go ahead.
They haven't. when we talked about learning and process, it's not always even the way they're being taught. It's only about the end goal. So they don't understand. They've taken out the process, and they don't understand the importance of learning processes to get to where trying to go. This is why it was important in math class, why they would give you partial credit to show your work, because they wanted to know you were making sure you were systematically thinking about how you were solving this problem. Not about just getting the right answer. Are you systematically thinking and logically thinking about how you're solving a problem? Translate that across life, business, whatever. You don't see that no more. People are not they just want the outcome, which is why we'll do anything for a buck. It's no longer about the process and what you learn and what you gain from and the knowledge built and the relationships built and the understanding yourself and the understanding your shortcomings so you can overcome them. None of that exists anymore. I just want the glory. So we're that's the space we're in. So this is why they don't want to shoot a fair one. They just want to say, I'm the big dog, not prove you the big dog. Because and that's proving you have to go through a process.
You got to take L's to be the big dog.
Or you get your dubs. If you don't take no L's, it's just because you.
I mean, you gotta have a few L's.
But you gotta prove. You gotta have a track record. You gotta show your work. And people don't want to. They don't understand the showing of their work. Everybody, I can take this. If we want to come back to music a little bit. The whole DJ culture, it's like even people like Jazzy Jeff be like, it's just about playing good music and stuff. He'll say that on camera, but I promise you, if he was like. Man, they don't know what they doing. They just getting the controller, hopping on, playing the hot stuff, hitting some horns, hitting some gunshots, and people are booking them. Even though they suck at their art craft, people don't care because the people don't care about process. So they just care about the music you playing until they hear a actual DJ and they're like, oh, that's what it's really supposed to be. It's not just playing what's on the radio because then there's only so much you can play in 2022 in April, right? Because you got to play what's hot now. But then when you run through those 10, 12, 20, 30 tracks and you got a 5-hour gig, what you gonna be playing? I've seen that crash and burn many a times. They ain't no idea what to continue to play. And so it's just the process and earning your stripes and going through the nuggets. I've learned so much about tech because of trying to DJ.
It's good.
I didn't have a laptop until I got a real job and moved to Omaha, Nebraska. I went to graduate school without my own laptop.
Damn, that's like taking math without no calculator.
I did that on my SAT. Not even gonna lie to you, and still scored well.
That's tough.
It's like I was like, oh no, I forgot my calculator. I was like, I can't ain't no going back.
And they looked at you like. You need some scratch paper?
And I still did better on the math than I did the English, which was crazy. But processes are important.
It's the journey.
You have to love the journey. That's where the glory is. It's like I think about anything. My journey, even getting to Omaha, my journey from playing ball, not making it in the league. Like I wouldn't be married to this woman because I wouldn't have known her. So would I really change that just to go play in the league? You get what I'm saying? Like having what happened to my wife medically, and if I wouldn't have went to school for what I went to and took CPR classes, she might not be here today. You get what I'm saying? Like it's about the journey. It's like understanding how everything can intertwine and get it done. So it's just about moving on these things, and in your journey, you can't journey sitting still. You got to be on the path moving. So it's about capitalizing on the motion. We have these ideas, we capitalize on the motion.
That part.
We got to get active.
Even seeing y'all podcast, bro, that shit was inspiring. I was like, because everybody's starting a podcast, right? So I started mine a while ago. I got a whole bunch of episodes that the person was like, hey, I don't want to put that out. Some things have happened, and I'm not at that location no more. Actually, 2 or 3 of them happened specifically like that. And I was like, okay, so it made me become all right. And I was like, I'm not doing a podcast right now. But when I seen y'all shit jump, I was like, this is like the 10,000 hour rule, right? Or the idea of you get your stripes in. And some of the stuff that this transpires, it's like you won't know what you need to go learn until you get to like, oh shit, I don't know ins and outs on buses on this whole fader system. And so you like, all right, boom, I'm pulling out the Cubase manual, this motherfucker, this thick from the library. And so like now I'm like, okay, I understand, like put myself in the fire to come out like more resistant. And so what you was talking about earlier specifically about the DJs and that's just the music example, but the reason why people, to me, I think, like I said, I think it's capitalism, which is the individuality. But we've created shortcuts through technology that allow for people not to value the process. So like, we could think of anything. There's a motherfucking app for that.
Typing and writing. Right. Digital watches. Niggas can't tell time.
Right, but think about typing and writing, right? I can just talk and that shit type and write it for me, and it'll do it grammatically correct. It'll be like, hey, highlight that shit in blue. You want to do your apostrophe RE or you like, because it's saying that this is wrong, how I read it. So like, I just think what you're talking about is, it's the tech is obviously hindering us, but it's us knowing that we're being hindered by something that's benefiting us.
It hinders those who don't have the will.
Right.
Because if you have the will, tech ain't gonna do nothing but speed you up and get you to the point. So now I don't, because it can do, bro. The reason why this pod goes, we had meetings back September when we started.
September 2021.
And I was just bringing stuff up. Johnny's like, he out doing his thing. And he like, this young brother will be good for this. Let's just bring him in, see if they rock with it. This brother is good for this. Bring him in, see if they rock with it. I had a student who was good at art. I was like, just get us a logo. And like, yeah, should I probably consult with the team? Yeah. But sometimes like, so let's go. Because one of my biggest things is let's just do it. Like I'm literally be in there like, cool, hey, Johnny is extremely detailed. What's this? This is how this, I can see how this. And I'm with him. He know I'm with him. And he know I probably done thought about most of it as well. But I was like, okay, what? So I go to straight rational. What can we do right now? Is it gonna slow us from putting our product out and being consistent? Because that's the #1 rule of success is consistency. Hey, cool. We gotta put it out. I'm sorry, Johnny. It don't look the best, but we gotta. If it don't, because then I would be like, if we get used to not doing something, and always having an excuse, it's like getting off a diet, and then like, well, I got off that day, it can snowball the wrong way. So I'm always big on, well, let's just do it. Let's do it. And now, if we ain't learning from our mistakes, we should quit. Like if we didn't do something right and we do the exact same thing the next time, we're being lazy. We're not being true to the process. It's not a process no more. That's a habit. So you get what I'm saying? Like every step, we're getting better. We got roadblocks. We're getting better. We're expanding ourselves on what we can do, what we can't. Like, you don't know which way we all learning at least a little bit of everything, you know what I'm saying? So but it has to continue to go. So we carved our roles based off of our strengths. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't mean you don't have the other ones. Just like in strength fighting, don't mean you don't got them. It just them ain't your top. So now get a team that all that can work together to get to the end goal and get through this process. So it's
that right there. That was the inspiration. I was like, oh, this shit consistent. I listened to Math Hoffa. I don't know if you know who Math Hoffa is. He a
rapper.
Yeah. So he got a podcast. And Joe is like his mentor, Joe Budden, right? In the podcast, obviously Joe is like he's like the tip of the spear, right? He was talking to him, and I could see how Math was asking him questions. He was like, "So," and then Joe was like, "No," he was saying no. He wanted him to elaborate. He's like, well, you didn't ask me to elaborate. And he's very like selective with his words. And one of the things he says, he was like, I understand consistency. I was in the rap game for a minute. He was doing like, I think Hot 97 for a minute, but he was talking about consistency. And he's like, when you have it, so that's why when they got the new hosts, he kept it moving. Just like what you're saying. He's like, yo, if they work out, if they don't, we'll figure it out.
But he's like, we got to get back on air. We've been gone. I've been gone for a week. And watching the maturation from where he started from. Everybody see this final product. Go watch Joe Budden episode 1. Go watch it and see what was happening. And see where they at now. And understanding, like in the midst, while they were his friends, they viewed the relationship more as co-workers. Now he has some of his other friends on who know they kind of came in thinking like, well, we was just coming in just to do you a solid.
Right.
Now you've helped us gain another career.
Right.
We gonna roll with that till we ain't gonna roll with that. And
right.
I think he's learning that there's gonna be shifts, and if you're the head person, you got to keep it moving. Right. And I think it's big to people to voice their intentions up front.
Yep.
He voiced his intentions up front with everything. Now with what we kind of created, I'm not gonna say it ain't shifted, but it's like he's gonna leverage off of this, and he's supposed to.
Right.
And I'm gonna help. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, again, I run a syndicate, so
Right.
I'm not even expecting nobody to roll with me till the wheels fall off on
Right.
every single little thing. He'll roll with me in life and roll with me on ideas. That don't mean he's gonna roll with me on this particular project all the way through. Like, it ain't supposed to be that.
Right.
But I'll go into it knowing it ain't supposed to be that, and he made his intentions known.
Yeah.
So now we can actually function and work.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
But that's a part of communication and trust, and like, you know, that goes big into it. But that's a part of like learning off of other people. A big part of creativity is receptivity. You can't be creative if you're not receptive, and if you always blocked off to everything. So one of the biggest things that I will say is like the refining in the process. And then like as I'm constantly learning and stuff like that. So I'm taking this project management certificate through Google. Shout out to MCC. But as I'm learning, right, it's like teaching me about myself. Like, I'm a natural project manager. I didn't have the terminology for it. So it's like how I normally approach things is more of a waterfall project management style. That means that everything has to be detailed in succession, planned out right now. You think about all of the troubles up front so you don't have to deal with them. Otherwise, a stagnant plan is bound to reach some problems. You're bound to run into some type of problem, some type of obstacle. Now it's more of an agile flow. And even beyond just Errik or most people that I'm with, like, you realize like, hey, you got to be more adaptable. So some of my biggest lessons been adaptability and flexibility, and like my guy E say, malleability. So it's just like, I'm learning how to be adaptable on the go. I'm learning how to be put into situations. I like to have things mapped out and planned out. Like, even us switching the location at the last second threw me off where I'm 20 minutes late now because I had my whole thing mapped out. Like, so learning how to maximize my strengths and minimize my weaknesses, and doing that in environments with other people, that's next level when it comes to like collaboration and making sure things get done.
Right.
And so one of the things that I do, like E was talking about, I make us all take our Clifton strengths. What's your Gallup top 5? So I can understand your top 5 strengths. How can I strategically amplify your strengths? If I know that you have competition in your top 5, how can I put you in an environment where it's competitive so that you can be your best self?
Right.
You know, it's just like little things people do. So I think that through this process, you know, just learning how to be a little bit more malleable, learning how to be a little bit more adaptable, knowing that you don't have to have everything together to get started, but you have to have a very good idea of where you're going. And so I say all of that to say, from the beginning, you know, I told E, like, I don't know how far I can go on this podcast thing because, one, I don't listen to that much music. You know, I've challenged myself to listen to more music. I've challenged myself to start learning more about podcasting so I could take this a little further. So now, you know, it's a little bit more shelf life on it. You know, so it's all about what's your intentions when you go into something. And I think that having clear communication, clear intentions, clear trust, all of that allow you to stay consistent. You can't be consistent if you don't have a greater purpose that can make you stay consistent on the issue. That's where your grit come from.
That's a fact. And when you talk about, that's what I was talking about earlier with our youth don't know how to deal with conflict. So Joe Budden, he said calm in conflict. He'd be like, no, but I think that you use it. And he very direct. I told my wife something happened. So I work with a lot of nonprofits with some of like the marketing and stuff. But there was this one, they said something. I'm like, what is like? Why y'all saying this? I was like, this don't make me feel proud to be from North Omaha. And it was like, oh, no, Eddie. And I'm just like, no, but y'all gotta change. Like, I was very adamant. And then there's somebody else that was there with me. They're part of another marketing company. They're like, yo, like, that was wild. You said it like directly to them. That's like the head of development and all this stuff. I'm like, it's good. They're about to change it now. He's like, but normally they don't, like, you send in like footnotes, like, oh, this would probably be shifted. It could be construed as XYZ. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, huh. So I told my wife about it. She was like, you know, she's like, I don't know if you know this. She was like, you like conflict. I was like, no, I don't. Like, I grew up in conflict. I was fighting all the time. I don't like that. She was like, no, not like that. Like, you don't mind it to get your point across. I was like, you're right. Because people say, oh, he's brash, he's bold. But like, unfortunately, in the space we're in Omaha, where nonprofits is damn near for-profit, the way that it operates, and pay for play. Like, if you want to do something, you can just pay somebody, you can get something happening. If I don't voice the frustrations that I have, ain't nobody else. Unfortunately, I take that back. A few people speak up on the issue, whereas most of the time they're like, shit, I'm getting a check. And I've seen people say to me like, yo, I don't like that. And then in the midst of us having an opportunity to say something, I'm like, I can't wait till they tell them how we was talking about, and they ain't say nothing. I was like, wow. But it was a part of the conflict, like to how to handle like being emotionally tied to a decision, and then to talk through it and to be like, this doesn't sit well with me, and know how to use the language, their language to get across like, I wouldn't use this language. This messaging doesn't sit right with the community.
That's a lack of trust. And throw it out there for you and the listeners reading. It's a book called Overcoming the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Check it out. Very powerful book.
That's good. Okay, well, I mean, damn, I feel like we ain't even scratched the surface. I'm gonna keep it a bean.
I was gonna tell you, we gotta get a part 2.
Yeah, for real.
With your ass, part 3 and 4, which is fine. But yeah, man.
Nah, I feel like this is something that we can for sure. Cause I got like studio stuff coming up where I'm gonna have like it's fun. When you do stuff like this, people reach out like, yo, we got a studio space for you because we want you to do this for us. So I got 2 people for sure that want me to go into their studio space to do this and to help them create like a culture of documenting history. But one of the things you're saying, like, don't tell everybody your ideas. Well, I be giving them ideas, they be like, but we need you to do it. I'm like, I cost though. Like, I just can't come in and you give me free studio space. But anyways, we definitely gonna get back to this. So we got call to actions at the end of this episode, and at the bottom of the in the caption, we're gonna have books to read, because I'm big on books. Okay. So some of the stuff I'm talking about there's 2 books specifically that I was talking about. I'm glad you brought up a book, and you were talking about, I forget, basically books.
I got a book. I had just seen it. It was on my shelf. I was looking at my shelf the other day. Hey, first of all, don't trust no man without no bookshelf. That part. But it was a book I read. It's a book I read in college. 2 of them that I really loved and enjoyed. One was called Orbiting the Giant Hairball. And it's just about how do you operate yourself when you are creative or a creative person in corporate structures, and how you're able to use that to create your own space in these places. And it's an extremely dope book. And there's another book called Blink, which is about the concept of thin slicing. So in the first 7 seconds, you know what I'm saying, you can tell 13 characters. You judge 13 characteristics about an individual, which that can go either be a positive or a negative based from your starting point in the situation. So, but yeah, man.
Yeah, I love Malcolm Gladwell. He a beast, bro. He a Canadian Jamaican. That brother, he be on point with it. You listen to his revisionist history podcast?
No, I don't.
His shit tough too. But go ahead. What books you got? Because you already said, I think, a few.
Man, I mean, it's.
All right, give us 3. Because
I'm about to say, we just 3 books to read. Like, is there a specific subject? Are we talking personal development?
All right, just say the one you just said. It was
Yeah, I think a book that could really help people navigate just team dynamics and team structures. I'll give y'all 3 books. The first is Overcoming the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I don't remember who that's wrote by. That's academic, so just look up Overcoming the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. The second book that I'll give y'all that truly help is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. I actually got that book off of E's wife's list. She do a lot of organizational stuff. She's a beast. She's a monster. And that was one of the books that she had put out for like a part of her self-care online seminar she had did. And The 4 Agreements is a book that I think a lot of people need. We need to stop taking things personally, because a lot of things don't even got nothing to do with us that we make do with us. And that's where a lot of miscommunication comes in at. There's a difference between communication and comprehension, and I think that'll help you get there. And the last book that I would recommend, especially for communication, because that's key in team dynamics, is The Art of Communicating by Thich Nhat Hanh. Very powerful book, short read, but I think that is just very important to learn how to communicate with self and others. That's
the one you gave me at the coffee shop. I have it on my my audio joint now. Yeah. I was like, okay. So like I work out, I like to listen to short books over and over and over. So Four Agreements is one of those. So when I was talking about ideas or like living things, when I was listening to that or listening to the Four Agreements, it takes me, when I listen to that, it reminds me of my when I was young and my great aunts, they would tell us stories. I'm like, damn, this shit remind me of like this type of like energy and type of relationship that we have with each other, that I don't know if it's like a field, but it's like something that we are disconnected in, like how butterflies know how to migrate and they all together, and it's like this, the science is like, oh, it's a magnetic field that they tapping into with the frequency or whatever. But as indigenous, we have these special locations, and it's like, so what is that field? How do we know where the powwow grounds are? Because our medicine men and our shaman were tapped in, and so it's just like. But when you said Four Agreements, that's the one. I never take anything personal, be impeccable with your word, and just that book is fire. Like it to me, it was very, very foundational in a lot of the things that I was getting as I was growing up. So
that part, don't make assumptions, and I think the last one that we missed too is just always do your best, and I think that's. Like we was talking earlier, is all the obstacles given to us, everything that's put against us, it can make us not do our best. Like as a podcast, we got a role and responsibility to do where we got to show up and do a job. Right. And an excuse is just that. It's just an excuse. Opportunities is obstacles. Obstacles is opportunities. And it's your chance to perform, man.
It's a fact.
Always do your best.
I appreciate you brothers for coming out. I'll holla at y'all later. Appreciate you for tuning into the Altr Show, where perspectives are valued and we want to get back to the value. Peace.